Mic should be good. Okay, we're here with Akron student athletes. Greg Tribble, Ali, and Enrique Freeman. We have 15 minutes before Coach John Gross comes in. Please raise your hand, ask questions. A person with a microphone will come over. Please state your name and media affiliation. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to the Zoom if time allows. First question for the student athletes. Right here.
Hey guys, Brad Bornoval from the Akron Beacon Journal. Congratulations, first of all. You guys were here before and just missed. How much does that help ease things, number one? And obviously, this is going to be a team that's got probably the biggest bigs, the biggest length. How do you handle that? How do you neutralize that?
I think our experience in the tournament before is going to help us tremendously in this game. We can definitely, pick up some mistakes we messed up on execution-wise when we played UCLA. So I think that's going to help us in this game. And they have a really good forward. He's a really good defender, and he protects the rim really well, similar to my game. So we're just going to try to execute a good game plan to work around that.
Tom back here.
Tom Withers, Associated Press. For all you guys, Coach has made a run with a MAC team in the tournament, got to the Sweet 16. Has he shared some of that with you guys? Are you interested to know what that journey was like for him?
Yeah, obviously, because we are trying to do the same thing, make a run in this tournament. Coach, he knows the ins and outs of the tournaments and how games are being played, how the game is going to be officiated. So, yeah, we asked Coach a lot about the run and what it takes to win in this tournament. So.
Alex Henry, WZIP. This is for any of you guys. What team would you guys kind of compare Creighton to that you guys have played in your college careers?
Toledo. We compare them to Toledo. They have an elite offense. They run a crisp offense, and they can score at will. So you have to lock in on your defense and make sure that scouting and everything. So, yeah, I would compare them to Toledo.
Cameron Hoover, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Enrique. Obviously, you've been here 5 years now, been a long career at Akron. What does it kind of mean to you to sort of, for your career to culminate in another trip to the NCAA tournament here?
It's truly surreal. I'm truly happy to do it with my teammates. I think we've been preparing all year for opportunities like this, and it's just super excited to be able to get to play and compete. That's what we came here to do, to compete.
Tom Withers, AP. Enrique, first of all, congratulations on the All-American nod yesterday.
Thank you.
Your story is amazing. Does it sometimes amaze you as well that you've gone from walk-on to All-American?
Yeah, it amazed me when they say something like, man, Reek was just in there at the walk-on tryouts blocking shots. So sometimes it is surreal and it's amazing.
Matt Marinas, White and Blue Review. I'm curious how transferable the experience of playing UCLA a couple of years ago. You guys were all in that game along with Michael. How transferable is that experience, knowing that you had to face a team that single-digit seed, a lot of experience? It's kind of a similar storyline to this one.
I think it just helps us, kind of having a little bit of familiarity with the bright lights. But at the end of the day, it's still, a 40-minute game, and we're going to have to go out there and play really hard and execute on both sides of the ball. So it's nice having that experience in your back pocket, but at the same time, that was 2 years ago, so we know we have to show up to Thursday.
Were you guys at that tryout that Enrique did? What do you remember of it?
I just remember a skinny kid just flying around, blocking shots. And obviously me and Ali were freshmen at the time. That was our first year there. And then we saw him at practice, and he was on the scout team. And we was like, hold on, he get under Coach Gross and Coach Ford and all them guys, and they develop him. And obviously you see the product they produce. So.
Logan Conger of WZIP. It's been mentioned that you guys have been in this position before, some of the older players. How are you guys mentor the younger players on the roster to be ready for this experience and get ready for Creighton?
I think Truthfully, we got a lot of good mentorship from the 2019-20 team in Akron. So I'm just happy we got to give them a taste of what a championship feels like, so they know what to chase after when we're gone.
Again, Brad Bourneval, Akron Beacon Journal. You guys talked about last time you played in the dance, there was a big wow factor. This time around, how do you make sure that you don't make this bigger than it is tomorrow when you hit that floor and you don't get enveloped by the bright light?
I think it goes back to what Ali said. You know, at the end of the day, we're just two teams playing 40 minutes. Whoever plays the best basketball at the end is going to win the game.
Right there.
Matty Marinas, White and Blue Review. Enrique, when you look at your game, I mean, I think Zach Edey and DJ Burns, which were the biggest guys in the country, are the only ones who have more post-ups than you this year. How are you as effective at that part of the game, given your size and what perceived disadvantages, I guess, as a 5?
Yeah, I think it's definitely my skill, and we do a good job. My teammates do a good job feeding me the ball. We have a great post action for cutting and everything. So as much as I can post and score and my quickness, you know, my teammates put me in a good position to score, you know, when they cut, 45 cut, all this other stuff. So it's just truly hard work and just playing to what I'm used to.
Right down here. There you go.
Logan Conger, WZIP Akron. How much of an advantage do you guys feel it is to be playing so close to home in Pittsburgh?
I feel like it's a big advantage. Obviously, we got a lot of Zips Nation fans coming to the game, and that obviously can fuel a run, the intensity. We feed off the crowd. So, yeah, I feel like it's a huge advantage for us to have our fans so close and coming to the game.
Luke Taylor, Full Court Press Podcast. With the landscape of how college basketball is going with the transfer portal and NIL, how much more does this mean to you guys that you guys have stuck around for this many years?
I mean, it's like I'm saying the same thing, but it means a lot. I know we've been together for the last 5 years. We've seen each other grow from freshmen to seniors to like great men now, and the journey has been incredible. So I think for myself, I'm just truly grateful for the journey. That's what it means to me. Like, we've all put in a lot of work to get to where we are now, and we can continue to push forward and try to go 1-0 tomorrow.
Right here.
Alex Henry, WZIP. One of the bigger criticisms from the critics of you guys in the MAC tournament was shooting. I know John Gross has said that the mentality has always just been take the best shot. Has anything else kind of changed going into this tournament?
Nah, not really. We put in a lot of work. Everybody on our team puts a lot of work in the gym, and we just gonna take open shots, take good shots that's in our wheelhouse, and water found this level. We'll start making shots. We just keep the confidence and just keep playing defense, and that's what I feel like we were gonna do.
Ali, piggybacking off of the transfer thing, you left and then you came back. Why was it important for you to come back to Akron?
I think just because these are the guys, I first met like in 2018, 2019, and, I value relationships and stuff like that. So it was never easy to leave in the first place. And, after the season and whatnot, and talking to them, and they were okay with me coming back. And I think it was just only right to, go out on my college career on a high note with the guys I started with.
Up front.
Matty Marinas, White and Blue Review. Greg, you're kind of the tip of the spear defensively for this team. When you look at Creighton on film and the way they kind of attack teams, I guess, from the backcourt, what stands out to you?
What stands out to me is they have a lot of shooting, and they have a lot of good-sized players with skill. Obviously, we got to make it hard on them, try to make it uncomfortable, but it's going to be a great challenge for us, and we're just looking forward to going out there and competing.
Any more questions for student athlete right here? Tom?
I'll sneak in another one. You guys experienced a late game situation in the championship game that probably reinforced just how unexpected things can happen this time of year. Has there been more of an emphasis on late game situations, all those kinds of things this week, based on what happened against Kent State?
I wouldn't say this week. We practice that all year round. Coach puts us in a great position in practice to work on late game execution, many plays, up, down, up three, down three, do we foul? So we were very prepared, no matter what game it was, for late game situations. And then, when it comes down, coach has always said free throws win championships, and she hit those free throws.
Any more questions for our student athletes? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Once again, if you are joining on Zoom, please use your raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and go to Zoom if time allows. Few minutes. Once again, please raise your hand to ask a question, and a person with a microphone will come over. Please state your name and media affiliation. Questions for Coach Gross? Right down here.
Matt DeMarinis, White and Blue Review. You've won 3 games as a double-digit seed in your career and almost got a 4th against a UCLA team that had everybody back from a Final Four run. How do you get, a team to not only prepare the right way but perform when it comes time to perform in those situations?
Well, I think with a singular focus, Matt, to be honest. Obviously those experiences, they are helpful from the standpoint that you've been there before and you can learn from those and apply them. But at the end of the day, it's about competing against a really good Creighton team, and it's about the game tomorrow. what happened in 2010 or 2012 or 2022 or, those years, they're relevant from the standpoint of maybe routine and how you approach the week, but in terms of the game tomorrow, they have nothing to do with the game tomorrow. You have to play the game that's in front of you with a singular focus. I thought our guys did that over the weekend in the MAC tournament, and it was a big reason why we had some success.
Brad Bourneval from the Beacon Journal. Kind of piggybacking off of what he said, these guys have played here, and they talked about that wow factor when they were playing against UCLA. Do you think that helps tomorrow in that there's a been there, done that? How do you make this so it's not bigger than it already is?
Yeah, I think they're pretty old, obviously. They've been around a while. They've played in big games. They've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs of all this that you have to fight through, because that's reality when you're together over a 5-year window. You're going to see it all. It's a long period of time and really unheard of in today's college basketball environment. So because of that, I think it's applicable. I mean, I think it's helpful, but again, we have to play well tomorrow. I mean, it's about the game at 1:30 tomorrow, and I think they understand that. I've tried to, instill in them that we can learn from our past and move, okay? But to dwell on that is a complete waste of time. Has nothing to do with tomorrow's game at 1:30. We've got to execute our game plan. We have to play well, and the team that does that the best tomorrow is going to win tomorrow. So I know it sounds a similar answer to what I gave Matt there, but that's how we really feel about it, and that's what we've tried to instill in them over a 5-year period, is just to get him locked in on the present moment, who we're playing, our practice today, and that's challenging for anybody, especially 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, but those guys, because of our leadership and their experience, I think that's where it matters. They've been able to keep us really grounded and locked in on one game at a time in the locker room, and that's huge. So that's where the leadership of like Tribble and Ali and Enrique comes into play.
Tom
Withers, Associated Press. Hey, John, you guys spend so much time recruiting. You're in high school gyms, scouring the transfer portal, et cetera, and you have a kid walk into your gym for a tryout and become an All-American. What's the lesson there?
Wow. For me, when I kind of hear that, and obviously I've been a part of it, and I always tell people with Freeman's story, if the Lord blessed me with 50 more years to do this, I don't know if it ever happened again. It's so unique. It's almost like a unicorn deal. And if you knew him like we do, who he is as a person, student, he already has his bachelor's degree, he's getting ready to finish his MBA, he's on student athlete council, the person he is, and you guys don't get to see that. You get to see him play. And I think he gives off that vibe when he plays. If I was watching him play, trying to be as objective as possible, I'd say, that looks like a great dude. And he is. It's amazing. His mom's a Cleveland City police officer, a great woman. She raised him well. And his humility, coachability, work capacity. I mean, it's not only is the story unicorn-like, I always tell people that he is the unicorn, because of who he is as a person, what he's done as a student, and obviously whatever he's been able to accomplish as a player, which is what all you guys see. But to go from a walk-on tryout to Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, to All-League, to MAC Tournament MVP twice, to MAC Tournament MVP, to MAC regular seat, the conference MVP this year, to an All-American is nothing short of amazing. I mean, it really is. And credit to him and who he is as a person and his work capacity.
Greg was saying that he remembers the tryout as just a skinny kid with elbows flying around. What is your recollection of that first tryout with Enrique?
Well, you saw him. I came in with my cup of coffee, sat down. We have a student body wide tryout every year. And he was there. And you noticed his size right away. He was about 6'7"-ish plus at that time. Long, gangly, motor, moving, blocking shots. Instincts were there. But at that time, he was about $180 dripping wet. He was thin, skinny, as Greg alluded to. So he's changed his body. When he first started, he was almost exclusively an interior player. Now he plays inside and outside. He's improved his free throw percentage. He shoots threes. I mean, he's just, it's amazing his growth and evolution from year to year. He's added something to his game to make him an even better player. I think it shows his hunger, his desire, and once again, his humility.
Question down here.
Alex Henry, WZIP. Coach, I asked the players what team that they played this season would they compare Creighton to. Greg spoke out and said that was Toledo. I was curious what team you would compare Creighton to.
Well, he probably said that because Toledo, Todd, they do a great job offensively. They're such a tough cover. He does a great job with his team. But I don't know that we've played one offensively and defensively in concert like Creighton. They're elite offensively. Obviously, they're top 25 in the country in both offensive efficiency rating and defensive efficiency rating. They've got great experience. Per Ken Palm, they're the 8th oldest team in college basketball. The majority of their guys have played together for a long time, just like our guys have. Everybody talks about our age. Shireman, All-American. Obviously, Alexander, really good, talented scorer. They get great play at the point guard position. Miller can really shoot it. They get great minutes, obviously from their guys that come off the bench like we have. And then Kalkbrenner is a difference maker defensively. Obviously 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Devin Morrow, my GA, said to me the other day, now Coach Morrow, says to me, he said, there's only 2 other players that have ever won it 3 times. He said, and you've probably heard of them. Their names are Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning. And I said, yeah, I know who those guys are. So that's the type of impact he has defensively. I've always had great respect for Shireman. We scheduled South Dakota State a few years ago, and I was glad that he wasn't on the roster. Now here we got Karma, and now I'm got to coach against him tomorrow at 1:30. I think he's a really, really, really gifted player with great positional size as a perimeter. And obviously they're well coached. Greg does a really good job. So it'll be a great challenge, both ends. I think Kalkbrenner makes them go defensively, and I think they all kind of work together in concert to provide you with, as you're watching, an elite offense.
Question down here.
Logan Conger of WZIP Akron. Coach, you talked to me on Sunday about how much respect you have for Coach McDermott and his program, what he's been able to do. Talk about how your team matches up with Creighton coming into this game.
Yeah, no, obviously we're looking forward to the challenge. I do think from an experience perspective we're similar. I alluded to that there earlier. Obviously we have Reek. Kalkbrenner's terrific. They have really good perimeter players. We do as well. I think it's obviously for us, and I'm not going to let you in on all the, secrets of what we're trying to do offensively and defensively with the game looming tomorrow at 1:30. But, it's going to be a challenge to guard them. Obviously, they're just as good defensively. Ironically, their stat sheet in terms of their Ken Palm rating, what they are offensively, what they are defensively, very similar to UCLA 2 years ago with those numbers. Although different styles. So once again, I watched UCLA, and I told you guys in this same setting 2 years ago, when I watched them, I saw a team that had went to the Final Four the previous year, had all those guys returning, and I thought they were capable of doing that again, what would have been a second time. They ended up getting beaten in the Sweet 16 by North Carolina in 2022. But I feel very similar feeling watching Creighton play. Again, because of age, experience, their ability to get it done on the offensive end as well as the defensive end. And then obviously, like I said, they've got, a very good coach. So they're a very, very good team, and we'll have to play well tomorrow at 1:30.
Any more questions for Coach right here?
So the tournament in Pittsburgh is hosted by Duquesne. Obviously, you took over for Coach Keith at Akron. What's that relationship like, and what do you make of him sort of achieving the goal of getting Duquesne to the tournament this season?
Yeah, no, I've got great respect for Keith. I tell people all the time, one of the reasons that I was attracted to the Akron job back in 2017 had a lot to do with the success that he had over a long period of time, a lot of great battles. We'd hired a couple support staff positions when I was at Illinois based on his recommendation, people that have been at Akron. Great respect for him as a coach, person. We communicate through text primarily. We'll talk as well. But Keith is a huge part of Akron. The city, the university, what he did there. He's one of ours. So we're excited for him and his team and what they've done this year. their opportunity in the tournament, and very thankful for, what he means to Akron basketball and in our program, and always will.
Any more questions for Coach right here?
Yeah, Matt DeMarinis, White and Blue Review. I'm curious, with Enrique, and obviously at 6'7", 206, like he's not traditionally built like a five that you would play through the post with as much as you guys do. How have you incorporated that as a main fixture of your offense, and how has he evolved into being able to be as effective as he is?
Yeah, no, great question. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about there earlier. His evolution from being strictly interior to now playing on the perimeter, shooting threes, free throw shooting, driving the ball, getting involved in pick and rolls, dribble handoffs. All those things happened as a part of his maturation process over 5 years to get to where he's at now, where he's a little bit more dynamic and versatile, if you will. So he can do a little bit of both. But, yeah, no, he's his motor, I think. He's just fast twitch, his motor. He's relentless in terms of his effort on the glass. And, he just impacts the game and then affects the game defensively as well. In the semifinal game on Saturday, I believe it was, he had 7 blocks. So he just does a little bit of everything. He's able to affect offense, defense, rebounding. He can play inside. He can play outside. So I think his versatility is what's made him, the player that he is today versus where he was 5 years ago.
Probably got time for one more right back there.
John Will Graves with the AP. It looks like expansion is probably coming, at least in a mild form. Is the hope, at least among your brethren in the MAC, that there's going to be room for, more mid-major programs than just trying to give the 7th or 8th or 9th team in a Power 4 conference those extra bids?
Well, I think you mentioned the word hope. I think that's appropriate. That, obviously we hope that for sure. I think, what's interesting, I've gotten to the point when I was younger, I worried more about maybe that stuff. Obviously, my antenna's up, want to be educated, want to know what's going on. Our athletic director does a good job of filling me in on all that. He's really sharp, and he knows what's going on a daily basis. But I've almost gotten to the point as I've gotten older, like, hey, I don't know if I can really control that. Like conference realignment, who's going where, like just coach your team, man. And so I keep telling myself that, my inner voice. Obviously, we're hopeful that occurs with all this, the change. I think about all the change that's happened from when I started until now over this 30-year window. It's been drastic, right? So you either improvise, adapt, and overcome the Marines slogan, mantra, or you're going to get trampled. I mean, there's no need to complain about it. A lot of it you're not going to be able to control. But certainly, to answer your question, that is our hope. Now, we'll see, right, if that develops and happens.
Probably got time for one more. You good? Right there. Okay, last question right here.
So you obviously won the MAC tournament on an interesting finish against a big rival. Did you kind of find that you had to refocus the team after that, or did sort of their veteran leadership kind of take care of that for you?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there's been obviously a lot of tension on that. And I don't think anyone would debate like, hey, the foul or whatever, right? They'd like to have that back or whatever. But some people give me the impression they're clairvoyant, like they know what would have happened in the next 6 seconds. That's impressive. Because when he caught the ball, it was going to be 5-on-4. How do you know that we don't score that way? Maybe, maybe not. How do you know we don't call timeout when the ball gets in the front court? There's 2 seconds to go, and we have 2 or 3 side-out specials, and we don't score on one of those. How do you know that? Maybe, maybe not. So I think the criticism that he's gotten publicly, whether it's through media, social media, whatever that is, I'm not sure that's real fair. Obviously, you'd like to have it back. There's no dispute, hey, whatever you want to call it, silly foul, whatever, whether they would make that or we would make that. I get that. But to pinpoint that as the story or the reason, God, man, I don't know if that's fair to him, to them, and I don't know if it's fair to our guys. We've talked a lot about Freeman and the 5-year run and all the winning and the 3 championships and Greg Tribble stepping up and actually had to make the 2 free throws. Like, to me, that's more of the story. But that's just me. In terms of refocus, again, with these guys being as old as they are, we have such great experience. Those guys truly have bought into try to be 1-0. And I know that sounds coach speak, cliche, all that. They really have. Why? I think it's challenging for young guys to do that. But we've had these guys around for a long time, and I think they believe in the recipe and the formula, that they've kind of trained themselves and led the young guys with that in mind. And I think it's the reason, as I said last weekend, we had some success. It's been really good to us. For us to think about anything other than what we need to get done today to prepare for a great Creighton team tomorrow is futility. It's a waste of time. So that's our focus right now. And they certainly help with that, right? So when the coaches aren't around, you got to have good leadership in there when you're not around. And we have great leadership with these seniors.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.